Hi, welcome to this little session about conscious sitting. So, as Ingo mentioned, I'm an international brand strategist. So, I help brands and businesses to really find out what makes them unique and relevant. And a few years ago, when I had my first daughter, and I realized that she started to walk, and then she started to sit down, and that was quite crazy because she really loved sitting down. And I bought her a little chair, and I thought, now she can sit, and she really started sitting. And there was, but she didn't sit down. So it was really like she sat down and stood up and sat down and stood up, and I kind of gave her a book, gave her some pencils, and I really wanted to make her feel the joy of sitting. Actually quite ridiculous, but I thought that she now can sit, so she can now work and really enjoy what we are all doing. But she didn't, and then there was a moment I realized, actually, I don't want her to sit. She will be sitting her whole life. So what can I do? And this brought me to the question, what if physical activity would be fun, easy, and non-time consuming part of our work lives again? So as you know, we are all locked in at the moment. So a lot of work from home. So no more walking or just strolling around or going to work or everywhere. So we're at home and we sit even more. And this is really hard to stop sitting because where's the next chart? So for us, sitting is the new sugar. So have you ever tried to not sit? So it's really a lot of people say sitting is the new smoking, but I think it's not the new smoking. It's as harmful as smoking, but it's more like sugar because it's so sweet. It's everywhere. So have you ever tried to not sit or to stand up in a meeting where nobody stands? So it's also a matter of power, or only those people stand up who are really powerful or have something to say. So this was also something I really realized when I talked to a friend. She's a politician and had a baby last year. So she had a reason to stand up. And that was really fascinating because she was allowed to stand up. And she said it was so much relieving. And I think this is also why all those kind of workshops are so much appreciated, because you can actually stand up and walk around and your body is moving. This is something you don't have in normal life. And it's also, you sit down for a coffee, you sit down for lunch, you go to an event and people ask you to sit down. So it's really like everywhere and it's polite. So for you, I think the first thing to take away is just look around. How much do you sit, and how sweet it is, and how easy is it to sit? Because I think it's everywhere, and this is also at home something that is really difficult to avoid, because it's linked to all our activities. It's linked to working, it's linked to eating, it's linked to actually speaking to people, because I think most of you are now sitting and watching, but actually if nobody's around, why don't you stand up and watch standing up, or lay down like on the beach, or what we did when we were kids, just reading a book, laying down on the tummy, on your belly, and just stretch a bit your shoulders. So I think there's a lot you can do, and it's very interesting to see, what is sitting for you. Another thing to create more awareness, and this is also why I did that angle on health and on sitting, is because we all know what we used to, or what we should do, but we don't do it. So, and this is a picture. I think a lot of you will buy organic eggs, but would you buy the eggs of the people you see on the right side? And this is kind of the new normal. So we are put in those ergonomic chairs. And this is also quite important because sitting right is important. But I think what's more important is to make regular breaks, kind of to stand up each 45 minutes or 90 minutes or even more. So to take this, how organic is your office? And for me, conscious sitting is about redesigning our sitting habits, because I don't think it's about moving more. And this is also something what is related to sports. It's if you want to move more, I think the easy thing you can do is to sit less. And conscious sitting is about redesigning your sitting habits and to really rethink how you work and how you live today. And it's a very small change, but it can have a lot of impact. And this is what I wanted to share with you. So this is the mission of Jack Pulse. It's smaller than 3, because we have to sit kind of 3 hours less each day to really have a kind of neutral impact to our complete sitting. And this is from experts, something we have learned, that on an 8-hour workday, we have to sit 3 hours less. So if you sit more than 8 hours, that is even more. Actually, that is quite huge. If you imagine to sit 3 hours less, how can you do that? And this is what I wanted to introduce you today, to the conscious sitting idea. But first, we have our little break, our first little break. Just take a deep breath in and out, and maybe do some stretch. Just put your arms up. This is also something we don't do so often. Just put your arms up and do something for your body, and just have a little break. So, or just dance if you want. And for today, the session is sit 3 minutes less each day. So this is what I want to show you, how you can do that. And I would love if you can confirm it in the chat. So raise your digital hands. I think it's down there, or just say that you're here. So it would be great to hear some feedback if you're here. So who wants to sit 30 minutes less each day? Oh, yeah. So we go to the first step here. So the first step in conscious sitting is that you really ask yourself, when do you sit and why do you sit? Because I think a lot of those things we do when we sit is we don't need them to do when we're sitting. So, and we also don't need to sit on a chair. So like the guy there, I'm also sitting on the floor, and that's much better for the body, because your body is trying to cope, or you just move more around than you sit, because sitting is something in between standing and lying, and it's really the most inactive position for our body. And this is what does the most harm. So I think what you should do first is really to check, when do you sit and why do you sit. And this is also the first task. Be also great if you can share it in the chat. Also, what you can do is to have a look on your mobile phone to really see how many steps do you do, because on iPhone I know, and there's the health app which counts your steps even if you don't know it. And you also can see on average how many steps you made the last weeks, month, or years. So the first task is really take a few minutes, kind of 2 or 3 now. How much do you sit each day, and what makes you sit? So is it work? And when is it work? What kind of work is it? So if you for example, have to make some calls or to do some video calls or whatever, do you really need to sit? Or what are the options you can do? So just take a few minutes, put out a pen or write it in the chat. How much do you sit 6 hours plus meetings. Yeah, right, meetings. But also the point of meetings is which of those meetings could be standing or walking around. So how many of them can you do walking around? Maybe not now, but I think in the near future, in a few weeks, it will be back to a new normal. And I think this is our chance to develop new habits, because the one thing is to kind of get rid of bad habits, but I think it's much more easier to create new habits, and that's even more and that's quite easy if you're in a new surrounding or in a new condition. And this is also hard to stand up when you have to write notes from meetings. Yeah, that's true. So and this is the thing to really think of: what makes you sit. So if you need to sit because you have to write, and this is also for me, I experienced just working on a standing table doesn't work for me, because a lot of those things I have to do doesn't feel good when I'm standing. But reading emails or doing some research, it's quite good standing wise. But all things for me related to writing, you can't stand up. But for example, at the end, if it's chat or chatting in the beginning or at the end, it's really maybe to start sitting later or stand up sooner. Because I don't think in a meeting we have to sit all the time. And it's also, if you have to do or have to really concentrate on your work, there's called the Pomodoro principle, which I think a lot of you know. It's about to really concentrate on what you want to do. Next step in conscious sitting is step 2. It's really thinking about what can you do to bring back some activity in your life. And it may be some walking the chairs, but I think being active is so much more than doing sports. So you can stand up, you can rock, you can dance, you can play, you can walk, you can run, you can jump. If there's a swing, you can laugh, you can smile. It's about joy. It's juggling, squatting, laying down, balancing, drawing, cooking, shopping, kissing. And for me, the most important thing for me is, if you know what you do when you do also at home, where you sit, is to start to reframe it. Because for me, activity is a magical ingredient which keeps you healthy, happy, and productive, and it's free, and it's completely free. And what I realized in a lot of interviews and talks I had the last years is really that a lot of people relate activity to sports. So it's really like, I have to do something. Okay, which fitness studio is the nearest? I bring out my sneakers to go for a run. And it's really like massive. It's a challenge. It's like sweating. But what we're missing a lot is really daily physical activity that is as healthy as doing sports. And there are also some studies that if you're sitting kind of 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, regular sports doesn't compensate what you're doing to your body. So what I believe is to really look for activity hacks for your daily life, to integrate, to bring back physical activity without doing sport. So this is what I announced, because this is what we see when we look at kids. They're running around, they have really fun exploring their bodies. And I think we can bring that back to a certain amount. And I think it's much easier at home and at home office than in official meetings. But you may have some meetings where it's like here, so nobody sees you, so nobody cares what you're doing, if you're stretching or if you're just doing something for your body, if you can concentrate. This is also quite interesting that a lot of people learn better if they move around, and that could be something for you to maybe have a look how you learn best, and maybe you're one of those who learn best through activity, and then it would be even more important to see how can you bring back some more activity into your daily life. And what we can do now, or what I asked you to do now, is make a short list of 3 to 5 activity hacks for this week that will help you to sit 30 minutes less each day. So what helps you? And be great if you can put it in the chat. I think if I can't see it right now, but I think I get it back. Chat, here's the chat. Pomodoro. Yeah, great. Some water. Yeah, it would be also great. This is drinking water regularly is also a great activity hack to really stand up even more, because you have to go to a certain place. Take calls standing, stand up at certain meetings, cook. Yeah, actually, this is also a great thing that you could do now through a home office, is to really reframe cooking and taking this not only as something you have to do, but to celebrate it, because you can really cook healthy food, and it also gives you a healthy amount of moving. So if you would say you would cook dinner or lunch each day, you would have 30 minutes more than just putting something in the microwave or in the oven and then just take it out and sit again. So really try to embrace activity again. This was something I stopped when the connection broke down, is that activity is kind of related to a lot of bad thoughts, and we don't know how to bring it back, because it always gives us a bad conscience, because we don't do enough. But we can do so much, and I believe if we just put back a lot of small activities into each day, so like this cooking lunch, or going for a walk outside, or standing up for a call or for a session, or just doing some embrace grocery shopping as a time to move. So true. Actually, this is something what I'm now fighting with my husband, who's allowed to go shopping. So a few years ago, it was really who has to go shopping, but now it's who's allowed to go shopping and who has the right to move more, walk outside. But there's also what we developed is or in other sessions is a standing coffee, because you don't have to sit always down for coffee, just drink it and stand up. My bike is on a trainer here in my office, could easily do 10 minutes on that. That would be great. Need to fix chain first. Yeah. Maybe this is an idea just to do that, to really think what can you do. Also, one of my favorites is just to put a post-it in the toilet or in the kitchen, where when you're standing up, you also can integrate some more activity, or you can start doing some challenges with your colleagues or with friends and measure your steps. So if you have a challenge and say, I want to do 5,000 or 8,000 steps at home, it's even possible to do it at home and also use the stairs. So it's really about getting creative. And I think on the page before, it's about dancing. And if you have all those ideas and just put 3 or 5 for them together for yourself, to really understand what do you really like, It's not that I have to, because we have to do so much, but really choose those you really looking forward to do. Could be everything. I think it could be also laying down, because it's we want to sit less, and this also means that you can lay down. Another idea was to just Google or have a look at YouTube what kind of African dances or Chinese dances or rap moves do you always wanted to know. Just have a look and just explore, do a little challenge, yeah, push-up challenge. It's great. So I think there's a lot of ideas I want to just give you and choose 3 of them. A lot of ideas in the chat already. So the next step is, now that we have the objective that we want to sit 30 minutes less each day, and we explored some activities around it that help you to really get to the 30 minutes. And I think like going for a walk, like having stand-up meetings or stand-up calls, like stand-up sessions. So it's not so hard to get to those 30 minutes each day. But another thing is that probably you will forget it. You have now the activity list. So the next step is to really think of what reminds you best, what helps you to think of those 3 to 5 ideas, to not forget your activity hacks and ideas, and the intention to sit less, because a week is long, life is busy. So this is something I always say. So life's getting in my way. So I hadn't the time to do that. And this is also something, if we talk about health, maybe we can also do that. So what are your main reasons that hinder you to do something for your health, to do some sports? So bye, Priscilla. Thank you to be here. So what are your reasons to not do enough for health or for your activity? So I don't see anything at the moment, but I read it often. Set alarm, great. Is that that you say it's I don't have time, I don't have motivation, so it's too much. And this is also why I set this objective so little, to have those 30 minutes, because 30 minutes in a week are 2.5 hours you don't sit, and it's up to 10 hours in a month. So this is more than a whole work day. And there are also great reminders what you can do. I really like the idea to writing on the whiteboard, also add a calendar reminder to the meetings I have this week. Maybe also something, if you can walk to your meetings or really go something, this is, you can add on your calendar. The fitness watch, more interested to do something else. Yeah, and that would be really something, if you find something that you're really interested in and you really like going for an ice cream or something, or just go somewhere. I just read that some people go to get their money from the bank, which they used to pay, that they don't go there and just take $100 or euro, but they only get 20, so they have to go there every 2 to 3 days. So make it easy to go there, because doing something for ourselves has no high priority. And in those times where time is really tight and we have so many things to do, and I think home office is nothing that relieves our life. It's even put more pressure on it. So if we want to sit less, we really have to make it easy and create a system. And actually that is the magic behind the conscious sitting idea. It's not only a task, it's a system you can create for yourself, and with the help of your system, it's much more easier to change your habits. And yeah, so to come back to the task, so there are a lot of reminders and ideas that help you to not forget the activities. So great idea. What was it? When I realized I can watch webinars while on a treadmill, then started going to the gym more often. Yeah, this is also something which was kind of magic. If you start to move more, you start to like it and you're looking for more. So it's really start with a few steps. So this is also what happened to me. I just started to walking more, and so much more activity was added up just because I started walking more. So go out and explore, and take a deep breath now. So this is something I also integrated here, because I think we can do some active breaks, which doesn't mean we stop working, but we can stop sitting, we can stop doing things and just talk more, or just take a tiny break. And the last step is begin. So it's just like we're putting up a plan together to lose weight, but it's not helpful if you just put it on the fridge and then go for the next chips or sweets or whatever. So it's also to really take action and start to learn. So this is for me the task 4, start to learn. So create your own conscious sitting routine and review it next week. So this is something I want you to do now. If you really want to sit 30 minutes less, put a date in your calendar where you really have the time, kind of 5 minutes to review how much did you sit every day less, or what happened, what changed, what do you feel. It's just like take some minutes, must be long, kind of 5 to 10 minutes, and then see what happens. So this is something, yes, I wanted to show you what conscious sitting is about. So in an overview, you can create your own activity objective. It could be sitting 30 minutes less, or 60, or an hour, or I think to start with 3 hours is too much. But it could be also that you say, I want to do a walk every day, or I want to cook something, to really cook something every day. So set an objective, define some activity hacks, even better if you share them, or if you're a bunch of people, to really do that together, to set this objective together. Create your personal reminders, could be everything from a memo, from also some people who remind you. That could be something you can do if you're back at your office now, to really kind of create an activity buddy, or an activity or an activist, to really have the task for 1 week, or for 1 month, to really inspire you and your colleagues to move more, and really take the time to look back and look for learnings of conscious sitting. So what happened? Are you sitting more? So this is something what happens to me if I want to eat less. I start gaining weight. So maybe this is something that happens. Maybe you really see what kind of seats doesn't suit you very well, or you find a better chair, or you just feel that you can sit better on the floor sometimes. Maybe you find some colleagues who can do meetings there. So it's just about, what are your learnings? Maybe you can do some crazy stuff like team events, going for canoe or whatever, to really put activity back. And then maybe the next is to start 60 minutes less each day. And I think you can really start to explore activity again. And this is what I wanted to do with conscious sitting, to really bring back the joy of activity that we were born with. Because that we're sitting is something that is related to our work, and this is nothing we really want to do. And I think it's very hard to bring that inspiration we have back by ourselves, and therefore something you also can ask your employer to create some sitting initiatives or some activity initiatives to really bring activities back to work, as creativity is already back at work. So I really love the design thinking workshops I did, so because that brought back creativity back to into our daily lives. But I also think we need to bring back more activity to be happy, healthy, and productive. And I think this is the next big step we can do. You can contact me, and you also can ask me now questions about everything. So my all-time favorites is walking, and this is what's also something I experienced when I was working in Hamburg. So it took me 2 years to recognize that I'm as fast with the bus as I'm on foot by feet. So it's really like you see so much if you walk, and I almost forgot that because of all the things I had to do in my work life. And I really go out for a walk also sometimes at 10 in the evening if I see I don't have enough steps and I'm really feeling not good. I say I go outside for a walk, and my husband is always, really? And I say, yes. So it's great. Just get some fresh air, maybe see how the world feels different. Also, another all-time favorite is going barefoot. Also, something you can amazingly do at home because you don't need shoes, you don't need socks, and this is the best you can do for your body just to be barefoot. Also, outside, if you can go into the woods. One thing is you can make it, you can write it down and post it on Facebook. So it's like a promise to yourself. So it's also, if you just started, and this was also why I started with who really wants to sit 30 minutes less, that was the first step to really start get doing and not only listen to something. So it's very psychological to write it down or to make a official commitment. If you share, it's even more possible that it happens. But it's up to you. And so this is step 3, to really also think about how can you remind yourself or how can you reward yourself to do this. So I think the most important thing is to connect activity in a positive way, because as you say, sitting is so connected to work. And we sit and we don't, if we don't finish work, we sit like a punishment to punish us to finish it. But more often it would be much easier just to have a break, go outside, take a deep breath, and then it would be much faster to really accomplish what you want to do. So it's just, my advice is to take a small step, a small objective, and make it actionable and put fun around it.
So small, actionable, and make it fun. And I think that's very important. With that, Anne, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today and helping us to hopefully sit a little bit less